to be better in this country.
That's right. Plenty of things are sight better than they were. But what I want is for you to name me one thing that is better in any other country than it is right here. Especially in them countries that gang out there claims to admire so much. Countries like communist Russia and China. Look, I keep saying they're only kids. Well, stop saying it. This nation was founded by young people. When we think of our Pilgrim Fathers, we think of old men with gray beards. Well, most of the people that came over in the Mayflower were in their 20s. Many were even teenagers. Captain John Smith, my ancestor and yours, was in his 20s when he was founder and president of the Virginia colony. And George Washington was 22 when he was colonel of the British Army during the French and Indian Wars. And oh yes, on the boat that followed the Mayflower over, there was a young lad of 19, I believe, Philip Delanoy. Now, one of his descendants became president of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. But the founding father was only 19. That I had forgotten. That they were kids, too. No, let's say they were young people. There's a difference. They were young people who believed in God. Now, the weirdos of today, they deny God. And you know why, don't you? They have to. Because as long as people believe in God, then... Shh. What's that?
Oh, it's you, John.
Good evening, Dr. Hardin.
Hello, I saw the light.
Well, I'm knocking out a paper on heartbeats of turtles.
With a baseball bat?
Oh, well, I saw it outside the field house on my way over here.
Well, I heard some voices. I thought maybe someone was in here with you. What's this?
What is it? Coat button.
Yeah, but it's a pine tree coat button like men used to wear in the Revolutionary days. I suppose it came off of one of those hippies' costumes or something, huh? Thought maybe some of those SDSers might be in here. You know, the Students for a Dirtier Society. Got a tip that they might try and sneak in here and vandalize the place, you know. Say, you didn't hear anything about that, did you? Of course, I know you're not one of them.
Oh, heard a little something, nothing definite.
Why didn't you report it?
Look, I'm no stool pigeon.
Well, I guess you had something in mind, then, huh?
No. Not as long as they stay out of this room.
Oh?
Look, there are a lot of rare medical books up there that we use in pre-med. They're not only valuable, they're irreplaceable, and I'm not going to let anybody burn them.
You think you can stop them by yourself?
They gotta come up this way. And they gotta come up one at a time.
Maybe you can do it alone. What about the rest of the library?
That's not my responsibility.
Oh, and this is, huh?
Well, this is different.
In what way?
It makes a difference whose office is guard.
What did you say?
I didn't say it. He did.
Who are you? You one of them out there?
Mister, that's a question I'm getting mighty tired of answering, if you don't mind. He's a distant relative of mine. Jonathan Smith, Professor Hardin, History Department.
Oh, Jonathan. I beg your pardon.
Pardon me, Professor.
What was it you were saying about whose ox is being gored?
Well, it's an old saying. When trouble hits somebody else, we say it's too bad, but we bear up under it. But let the same thing happen to us. Well, that's a different story. We try to do something about it.
Your relative's right, you know, John.
Well, there's more to it than that. I mean, there's certain rights involved here I happen to believe in. Well, I may not agree with everything they say, but what's the clarion rest of it? I'll defend their right to say it. Well, that's what democracy's all about, isn't it? I mean, free speech, including the right of dissent, and human rights over property rights. All right?
Oh, boy.
If you ever heard such bunkum, read your Constitution.
There it is. You see, that's the irony of it, Jonathan. They always piously invoke the very Constitution they want to destroy.
And furthermore...
Wait just a minute, John. Look, if we're going to have any kind of a meaningful dialogue here, then I can't let you just spell out a mouthful like that and go away and leave it, okay?
Right on.
Are these rights you were talking about? Human rights over property rights. What human rights are violated by this library being here? And what possible human rights could be furthered by destroying it?
Well, it'll shake people up, call attention to other people's needs.
What people? What needs? You say pre-med needs? All right, well, pre-med only makes up one part of this university. What about the law students? What about the scientists, the engineers, the political economists? Huh? I mean, they all have a need for this facility. The property of the building was built, the books carefully accumulated from the contributions of thousands of people who will never even see them. Ordinary people, older people mostly, who gave their money for what? For what purpose? So that you and other young people like you today, next year, years to come, can help to find a better education, to live a better life. And what makes you think you can disassociate your property rights from human rights anyway? You see, John, you don't have to own property to have property rights in it. All right, you're studying now to be a doctor, right? That means you'll be interning at some hospital around. And there, you'll be working with equipment costing millions of dollars, millions. I'm going to have to mine a, 2 million volt X-ray therapy machine costing, I don't know, $150,000. Now, wouldn't it be a serious infraction of both your property rights and your human rights if that wonderful machine were destroyed just to shake people up? Wouldn't it? Maybe I ought to give you a closer to home, more practical example of what I mean. Take what happened right here in Clovis last summer. The riots, the burning, the looting. A lot of stores were destroyed there. Among them, a drugstore, a grocery store, and a 5 and 10 cent store. Now, those stores have not been rebuilt. Now, the senseless, irresponsible destruction of those properties was a far greater blow to the human rights of the people of that community.
Well, that was unfortunate, but you know what they say. You're gonna make an omelet, you gotta break a few eggs.
Oh, John.
Yeah, and I've noticed the ones who say it, it's not their eggs.
They're not talking about just breaking a few little eggs. They're talking about smashing human lives. And they call it the right of dissent. Sure, we have a right of dissent in America. You realize how much dissent you would dare voice if you lived in Russia or China, or one of the other communist countries that they profess to admire so much? One little peep, bang, kaput. Sure. The right of dissent is a very real and precious part of America. Its power has helped bring about some of our most cherished social and economic advances. But even in America, the right of dissent is not the right to destroy. I mean, if a goal is holy, you only debase it in the eyes of the world if you stoop to unholy acts to attain it.
You call free speech an unholy act?
Free speech. It's a beautiful concept that's been deliberately fouled up. Freedom of speech is now freedom of filth.
I agree. They're throwing abuse, not bullets. I mean, words never hurt anybody.
John, if you believe that, you are nuts. Words a lot less lethal. They have hurt plenty. You remember the crowd in the street looking up at the man on the ledge of a tall building? Inside, his wife and his priest were pleading with him to come back in. And down below, the crowd was chanting, jump, 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 jump. You know what happened? He jumped. The words killed him. And the people down below shouting those words were murderous. And what's happening on high school and college campuses, huh?
There should be more shooting than looting. That's the only thing I agree with. Black folks are trying to loot when they should be shooting. If you're gonna loot your gun store.
Rabble rousers like Rap Brown calling on